Imagine it is 6 a.m. Loud knocking. Someone outside says, "Police," or says they are from immigration. Your heart is racing, your kids are asleep, and you have about 30 seconds to make decisions that can change your life. Here is what I want you to walk away with today. First, how to tell the difference between a real judicial warrant and an ICE administrative warrant without getting tricked or escalating the situation. Second, what to say and what not to say at the door, in public, or in your car. And third, a simple emergency plan you can set up for your family so you are not improvising in a crisis. Stay with me, because the most dangerous moment is not when they knock. It is the moment you start talking and trying to explain. Here is the part most people miss. In many real situations, the safest move is not to prove anything. The safest move is to slow everything down, verify, and protect your rights calmly. Before we get into the exact words, let us get one thing clear. There is a lot of viral content online that promises magic phrases that will stop an arrest. Real life is not that clean. You cannot control what an officer does in the moment. But you can control what you say, what you consent to, and what you sign. And those three things can make a huge difference later for your case, your bond, and your ability to fight removal. Now, what changed? In most places, the law about warrants and your right to remain silent has not suddenly become new. What is new is the enforcement reality people are feeling. More encounters, more confusion, and more pressure to open the door or answer questions. So today is not about hype. It is about a clear, practical plan that works whether you are undocumented, in a pending case, a mixed-status family, or even a lawful resident who is worried about being misidentified. Let us talk about the first trap, the friendly voice trap. The person outside may sound calm. They may say they just want to talk. They may say they need to confirm your name. They may say they have paperwork. They may even say you will be in more trouble if you do not open. The point is to get you to do one of two things: open the door or start answering questions. Here is the key. You can communicate without opening the door. You can ask questions through the door. You can ask for paperwork to be slid under the door or held up to a window. You can do that without consenting to entry. And that matters because the legal rules are very different if you voluntarily open and invite them in. So what should you do in the first 10 seconds? Take a breath. Wake up fully. Do not run around the house with the door open. Do not push kids toward the door. If you can, keep everyone away from the entryway. If you have a chain lock, keep it on. If you have a peephole or camera, use it. And then speak through the door in a calm voice. You are not trying to win an argument. You are trying to set boundaries. Now let us define the most important concept: judicial warrant versus ICE administrative warrant. A judicial warrant is generally issued by a judge or a court. The idea is that a judge reviewed information and authorized something specific, like entering a location to arrest a specific person or searching for specific items. An administrative warrant, often used in immigration enforcement, is typically issued by an agency, not a judge. It might have official-looking seals and language, but it is not the same thing as a judge-signed warrant. Here is where people get denied later. They see paperwork, they assume it is a warrant, they open the door, and the officers enter. In many situations, if officers do not have a judicial warrant, you do not have to open the door. That does not mean they will not try to pressure you. It means you do not have to consent. Important note: rules can vary by situation, location, and what officers claim in the moment. If they say they have a judicial warrant, your job is to verify, not to debate. So how do you tell the difference in plain English? Ask them to show you the warrant. Ask who signed it. Look for a judge or court name and a judge signature. If the paperwork looks like it comes from an agency and not a court, that is a red flag. Also, look at whether it has your correct name and address. A piece of paper with a name does not automatically give permission to enter your home. Here is the part most people miss. Even if a warrant exists, it may be for someone else, or it may not authorize entry into your specific home. Do not argue that. Just do not consent and ask for a lawyer. Now, the 3 words. Let us be responsible and accurate here. Different lawyers phrase this differently, and you may hear longer scripts. The cleanest, most widely used, and most defensible core message is, I choose silence. In everyday words, the 3-word version people mean is, I remain silent. Those 3 words are not a magic shield, but they are a clear boundary. They signal you are invoking your right to not answer questions. If you want a slightly longer version that is even clearer, you can say, I am exercising my right to remain silent. But if you remember only 3 words in a panic, remember, I remain silent. Here is why it matters. Many immigration cases are damaged by statements made during stressful encounters. People volunteer where they were born, how they entered, who lives in the home, whether they have papers, whether they have a case pending. You might think you are helping. You might think honesty will make them go away. But in many situations, those statements become evidence. So the goal is not to lie. Never lie or present fake documents. The goal is to not answer questions that help build a case against you. Now, let us build a simple door knock script that you can practice. You can literally write it down and keep it near the door. Step 1. Through the door, ask, who is it? Step 2. Ask, what agency are you with? Step 3. Say, I do not consent to entry. Step 4. Ask, do you have a judicial warrant signed by a judge? Please hold it up to the window or slide it under the door. Step 5. No matter what they say next, you use the 3 words when questions start. I remain silent. Step 6. Say, I want to speak to a lawyer. Step 7. If they keep asking questions, repeat the same lines. Calm repetition is powerful. Do this, avoid this. Do this. Keep the door closed. Communicate calmly. Ask for the warrant. Verify the signature. Ask for a lawyer, and keep your hands visible if you do end up face-to-face. Avoid this. Opening the door wide, stepping outside to talk, letting them inside to be polite, arguing about the law, running, or physically blocking entry. Even if you are right, escalating can make things worse. Here is a quick myth versus reality. Myth: if you do not open the door, you are committing a crime. Reality: in many situations, you have the right to not open the door unless they have proper legal authority, and you can assert that right calmly. Myth: if you explain your situation, they will understand and leave. Reality: officers are often there to gather information or execute an enforcement action. Explaining can create admissions that are hard to undo. Myth: staying silent makes you look guilty. Reality: silence is a constitutional protection, not an admission. Now let us talk about public encounters, because not every ICE encounter is at home. You could be approached in a parking lot, outside work, at a bus stop, or in a building lobby. The same principles apply. Stay calm, do not run, do not physically resist, and protect your words. You can ask, am I free to leave? If they say yes, leave calmly. If they say no, then you are being detained, and that is when saying I remain silent and I want to speak to a lawyer becomes extremely important. If they ask your name, different states and situations can affect whether you must provide it. Because this can get complicated fast, the safest general approach is, do not provide extra information beyond what is legally required in your location, and do not answer questions about immigration status, birthplace, or how you entered. If you have lawful status and carry proof, you may choose to show it. But do not hand over foreign documents or anything you do not understand. And again, do not lie. If you do not know what to do, say you are exercising your right to remain silent and you want a lawyer. Now, car stops. This is where people panic because driving is already stressful and everyone is watching. First, if you are stopped by local police versus a federal officer, the rules and the purpose can be different. Do not assume. Keep your hands on the wheel. Be polite. Do not make sudden movements. If you are the driver, you may be required to show a driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance if you have them, depending on your state. Provide those if requested. But when the questions shift into immigration questions, that is where you pivot to your script. You can say, "I remain silent. I want to speak to a lawyer." If they ask to search your car, you can say, "I do not consent to a search." If they search anyway, do not physically resist. Just repeat that you do not consent. For passengers, the key is that passengers also have rights. They should not volunteer information. They can ask if they are free to leave, but do not step out unless instructed. If asked questions, they can also say, "I remain silent. I want a lawyer." Here is another myth versus reality. Myth: if you say, "I do not consent," they cannot search. Reality: they may still search based on what they claim is legal authority. But your non-consent matters because it preserves your ability to challenge it later. Myth: if you just sign the form, you can go home faster. Reality: some forms can waive rights, agree to removal, or give up a hearing. Never sign anything you do not fully understand. Which brings us to the paperwork trap. In many encounters, the pressure point is paperwork. Someone may say, "Just sign here to confirm your name," or "This is just a receipt," or "This will help you get a court date." The truth is, paperwork can be complicated, and you might be signing away something big. Your default rule should be, "I will not sign anything without speaking to a lawyer." Say it calmly. Repeat it. If they insist, you can say, "I remain silent. I want to speak to a lawyer." If you are given papers, try to take them and keep them, even if you do not sign. Those documents can be crucial for a lawyer to help you later. Now let us do 2 example scenarios so you can picture how this works. Example Scenario 1, the 6 a.m. door knock. Maria lives with her 2 kids and her cousin. There is a loud knock. A voice says they are from immigration and they need to talk. Maria feels her legs shaking. She almost opens the door because she does not want trouble. Instead, she takes one breath and speaks through the door. She asks who it is and what agency. They say, "ICE." She says, "I do not consent to entry. Do you have a judicial warrant signed by a judge? Please slide it under the door." They hold up a paper to the window. She looks and does not see a judge's signature. They say it is a warrant. She does not argue. She says, "I remain silent. I want to speak to a lawyer." They ask who else is inside. She repeats, "I remain silent." After a few minutes of pressure, they leave paperwork. Maria takes a photo of the document, calls a trusted family member, and contacts an attorney or accredited representative to understand what was left. The key is not that she won a debate. The key is she did not consent to entry and did not provide statements. Example Scenario 2, a mixed-status family car stop. David is driving with his spouse and their child. A stop happens for a traffic issue. The officer asks where David was born. David does not answer the question. He provides the driver's documents requested. When questions turn to immigration status, he says, "I remain silent. I want to speak to a lawyer." He does not run. He does not argue. The spouse also stays quiet and does not volunteer information. If anything escalates, they focus on keeping the child calm and safe. Afterward, they write down details of the stop while it is fresh. Time, location, agency, names if visible, what was said, what papers were given. That documentation can matter later. Now the survival plan part. Not fear, preparation. If you do nothing else after this video, do these 5 things this week. 1. Identify a trusted emergency contact who can answer calls, pick up kids, and coordinate help. 2. Save key phone numbers on paper, not just in your phone. A trusted family member, a lawyer or legal aid organization, and the school or childcare. 3. Gather essential documents in one folder. IDs you have, birth certificates, marriage certificates, any immigration receipts or notices, and medical information for kids. 4. Plan childcare authorization. Depending on your state, you might be able to create a caregiver authorization or other document so a trusted adult can care for your child temporarily. Talk to a qualified professional in your area for the right form. 5. Practice the door script with your household so everyone knows. Do not open the door, do not answer questions, get an adult, and stay calm. Do this. Avoid this for your family plan. Do this. Keep copies of documents. Keep a small emergency fund if possible, and make sure your family knows where things are. Avoid this. Carrying fake documents, posting your plan publicly online, or relying on rumors and viral clips as your only source. Now, what should you watch next? 2 things. First, local policy changes can affect how different agencies cooperate, what happens in jails, and what questions are asked during traffic stops. Second, there can be shifts in enforcement priorities and tactics. Because this changes, verify information with reliable sources, official agency statements when available, reputable legal aid organizations, and a qualified immigration attorney or accredited representative. If a viral post claims a new law or a new magic phrase, slow down and verify before you act on it. Here is the final myth versus reality for today. Myth: if they have any paper, you must comply with everything. Reality: you should comply with lawful orders and stay safe, but you do not have to consent to entry or a search, and you do not have to answer questions that harm you. Myth: asking for a lawyer makes you look guilty. Reality: it is your right, and it can prevent irreversible mistakes. Let us recap calmly in 5 quick bullets. 1. Do not open the door just because someone says they are from immigration. 2. Ask for a judicial warrant signed by a judge and verify before consenting to entry. 3. When questions start, the 3 words to remember are, "I remain silent." 4. Never sign paperwork you do not understand. Ask for a lawyer before signing. 5. Set up a simple family emergency plan so you are not scrambling in a crisis. If this was helpful, subscribe and turn on notifications, because when rules or enforcement patterns shift, the most important thing is getting clear, calm information early. And remember, you can protect your rights without panic. Slow it down, verify, and keep your words minimal.